Staryu, the star-shaped Pokemon, and Starmie, the mysterious Pokemon. Welcome everyone, I'm exceptional and I hope you are too. Today we will be exploring how quickly I can defeat Pokemon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, using only my starter. There are further details in the description, but my general rules are, I can only use my starter in battle, no items in trainer battles except held items, no glitches, exploits, or RNG manipulations, and I don't particularly like accuracy or evasion strategies, so I will tend to avoid them. Before jumping into Staryu, I have to take a quick moment to correct a mistake I had in my previous Magnemite video. I said that Sturdy would have left me with 1 HP regardless against Brock Steelix. This would have been correct if I'd been playing Gen 5. Unfortunately, I was mistaken, and in Gen 3 it only prevents one-hit knockout moves like Horn Drill, Fissure, or Sheer Cold. Shout out to Winek, I hope I'm getting that right, in the Premier's live chat, and all of you in the comments who pointed out this correction. I'm not too proud to admit when I've made a mistake, and thank you all for having my back. I'm always keen to keep learning new things about these games. Staryu should have a reasonably easy early game leading up to Brock. We learn Water Gun at level 6. This alone will be all that we need for Brock, but there's also what awaits us in Cerulean City to consider. With a slow growth rate, I feel like we're going to have to do some additional grinding so I can target level 19 when we arrive there. I'll let you know why when we get closer. For now, my primary focus is getting the easiest experience on Staryu I can before defeating Brock. I defeated 2 wild encounters while retrieving Oak's parcel, so that including the lab battle, we hit level 6 learning Water Gun. This allows us to hit the cruise control through Viridian Forest, defeating Bugcatcher Charlie for the easy experience and the mandatory Bugcatcher Sammy. Once in Pewter, I don't even bother healing, going straight to the gym. I defeat Camper Liam in the gym for some more super easy experience and then face down Brock. I have 2 acronyms in battle that I use a lot: Stab or Same Type Attack Bonus, and OHKO or One Hit Knockout. Both are demonstrated here as our 4 times super effective Stab Water Gun, OHKO's Geodude and Onix easily. I continue along routes 3 and 4 into Mount Moon. I am defeating a couple of extra trainers along the way, including youngster Calvin, because right next to him lies an Oranberry, which I suspect we're going to need in Cerulean. He actually costs us our first reset because Spearow can actually be fairly menacing in the early game. Both Misty and Rival 2 are going to be challenging battles for Staryu. I'm targeting level 19 for the move Camouflage. It will allow Staryu to change its typing depending on terrain. On plain terrain and in buildings we become the normal type, removing our weakness to Bulbasaur's Vine Whip. At the end of Mount Moon, I grab the Helix Fossil because at the time of recording this, the Helix fans have the lead. Better luck next video, Dome Fossil. I didn't quite defeat enough trainers through the cave, so I defeat both trainers in Misty's gym. I'll also be clearing a few wild battles to finish the grind so that we're level 19 going into the Rival 2 fight. I do not believe that we're capable of doing Misty at our current level because check out this battle against Picnicker Diana. We take another reset, and if this is how we match up against a Goldeen, imagine Misty's Starmie. Camouflage should make this rival battle easier, but that's not to say easy. While we wipe a few times trying to suss out the correct strategy, I'll take a moment to explain my nature and move choice. I really wanted to go with a modest nature, increasing special attack and reducing attack, as our late game moveset will be entirely special. I elected to go with quirky though, a neutral nature, as in the first section of the game we rely so much on physical moves due to the lack of other options. Even in the mid game we're going to remain a mixed attacker for a fair chunk of it. As for my move choices, I got rid of Tackle in favor of Rapid Spin. Odd choice you may think, given that Rapid Spin has about half of the base power. It comes with a massive benefit against Bulbasaur though, in that it shakes off the effects of Leech Seed, which would have been far too much for Staryu to outlast. Even if we make it through Bulbasaur, we're generally poisoned, and Rattata's priority quick attack can still take us out. Now it's 7 resets, and after using 1 rare candy bringing us to level 20 over the next damage rounding threshold, we finally see a successful battle. Against Pidgeotto, I remain a water type, gaining the benefit of Stab to take it out with Water Gun ASAP, hoping beyond hope to avoid Sand Attack. Leading into Bulbasaur, we use Camouflage turn 1, becoming the normal type, as he poisons us instead of using Sleep Powder for a change. Alright! Poison can be nasty, but it beats being asleep and doing nothing, like I have been doing a lot of against this rival. I alternate between Rapid Spin, removing Leech Seed effects, and Recovery as we need it, and slowly, but surely, whittle down Bulbasaur's health until he faints. Pidgeotto is back out in Red Bar, and without using Priority Quick Attack, we outspeed and take him down. Rattata is next, and I use the opportunity to heal up with Recover before taking him out as well. Abra is then an easy cleanup. What an ordeal that battle was. I make sure to defeat Hiker Knob, what a name, and Camper Flint, giving us access to TM43 Secret Power. This gives us a fantastic 70 base power normal type move with a 30% chance of an added effect based on terrain. Most of the time in this run, that's going to be Paralysis. Back in Misty's gym with a few more levels, an upgraded moveset, and of course my Persimberry equipped, we face down Misty. It's a battle of the stars. Against her lead Staryu, we can take it out without any issue using 2 secret powers. I have an interesting conundrum in this battle. I can keep my water type and resist her water moves, or change to normal type with camouflage giving secret power Stab. I elect to stay defensive, saving a turn and reducing the effectiveness of Starmie's water pulse. We get lucky getting a turn 1 paralysis against Starmie, which allows us to take it down without any fuss. I feel pretty confident in this strategy for the next playthrough. We have a bit of breathing room against Rival 3, following roughly the same strategy as Rival 2, but with more damage output, so I'll take a moment to explain the damage rounding thresholds I mentioned. These older Pokemon games have a limited amount of data that can be processed in the RAM, which results in the truncation of decimal places in calculations. The truncation simply eliminates the decimal place without rounding. The level of your Pokemon is a factor in the amount of damage it does, so the truncation results in disproportionate increases in damage. You'll get damage increases at levels that end in 0, 3, 5, and 8, but none at other levels, barring increases in stat rounding thresholds, which also exist. I don't want to get too far into the nitty-gritty of it, so what I'm saying is, we're moving on to Lieutenant Surge. I get 2 wipes against Engineer Bailey in Surge's gym because of some shenanigans, but here we are against the man himself. You'd think that we'd be at a disadvantage here, but because of the power of camouflage, I transform turn 1 against Voltorb, removing our weakness to electric moves and giving us Stab secret power. Both it and Pikachu are one-shots. I did activate Static against Pikachu, but that's why we have a Cherry Berry equipped. Against Raichu, we're doing over half with secret power, granting us an incredibly easy 3rd badge. Alright, we should be cruising now. I continue along Route 9 and 10, making sure to pop into the Poké Center on Route 10. I haven't decided yet, but it'll be nice to have the option to fly back here later in case I decide to go with Rain Dance and Thunder strategies. We enter Celadon City, where I would be remiss to not enter the department store and grab a Water Stone right away. There aren't any moves that Staryu will learn naturally that really stand out to me, so I want the power increase of evolving immediately. With that massive power increase bringing us from a base stat total of 340 to 520, I clear out the Rocket Hideout and unlock Saffron City using the tea I collected from Celadon Mansion. There are 2 very important things that I want here before continuing the game. In the south row of buildings lies Mr. Psychic's house, who gives us TM29, you guessed it, Psychic. Starmie gained the Psychic typing after evolving, so this provides us a fantastic stab move with a lot of upcoming Pokemon that are weak to it. I also grab Max Repels from the Pokemon, as this is our earliest access to them. It seems that Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower is always the place I explain my nickname lately. He's generally quite easy, as with the mandatory battles leading up to this point, a solo Pokemon tends to be over-leveled for him. Are you ready, kids? I can't hear you! Both my girlfriend and sister would disown me if I didn't nickname my starfish Patrick. Psychic leads through Rival 4's team. I feel briefly sorry for any blown eardrums and defeat all of the channelers in Pokemon Tower for the special attack EVs, rescuing Mr. Fuji at the top and granting us access to Silphco back in Saffron. I will be grabbing all of the vitamins and high-value items throughout Silph, using only the calciums and carbos to increase our special attack and speed. Everything else will be sold, as we need some very expensive Game Corner TMs to round out our moveset. While we're here, I'd like to take a shot at Rival 5. We don't have any form of setup move here, so we'll have to rely solely on Patrick's raw power. Psychic and a follow-up Water Pulse deal with Pidgeot only taking a wing attack in return. Venusaur is his biggest threat, and with a crit we get the Oko with Psychic. Gyarados can do some chunky damage with both Bite and Dragon Rage, both of which we see here while taking him out. I did equip a Citrus Berry just before the battle for safety, and I'm sure glad that I did. Growlithe is an Oko with Water Pulse, and Alakazam is last. This Alakazam is not scary at all. His only attacking move is Future Sight, which we resist, allowing us to take him out. Strictly for my own edification, I'm taking a moment to appreciate rolling through the last of the Rocket plotline without batting an eye. I may still be slightly salty from that Magnemite run last week. After Giovanni falls, I use a nifty trick, dropping into and retrieving Starmie from the PC in the President's room. This heals Starmie to full and saves us a trip to the Poké Center before continuing to Saffron Gym. Before facing Sabrina, I make sure to clear every trainer in her gym for the special EVs. Sabrina is one of the reasons why keeping Patrick as a mixed attacker through the mid-game is so beneficial. Her Kadabra and Ace Alakazam have very low physical defense, so busting through this fight is no issue at all. I head back to Celadon to spend our cash going after Erica and our 5th badge first. I clear the trainers on the right side of the gym for the special attack EVs, and then because we have Psychic on our side, we can outspeed and OHKO every one of Erica's 3 Pokemon. It's after this battle that I make a poor judgment call that will cost us a little bit later on. I use the last few vitamins that I care to use on Starmie and sell everything else, coming to the game corner to buy our first very high value TM. Both Ice Beam and Thunderbolt cost 80,000 Pokédollars. I bought Thunderbolt thinking that Lorelei would be a bigger problem with her bulky water Pokemon. Though that was a valid thought process, there's a better way of doing this, and we'll explore that a little bit later. Fuchsia City is our next stop, and I'm gonna make a potentially controversial decision. I'm not going to immediately teach Surf to Starmie. The reason I do this is that HM moves can't be unlearned without visiting the move deleter right here in Fuchsia City. This limits our move flexibility in the league, and given that this is the first playthrough, I want to learn what's possible before considering what's optimal. I'm talking about this instead of Koga because, well, we have Stab Psychic, which deletes his whole team. We'll jump right ahead to Blaine. I clear all of the trainers in his gym for 2 reasons. 1, we have the slow growth rate and a little bit of extra grinding is inevitable, and 2, there are lots of burglars that give excellent cash rewards for defeating them in here. We still need more money. Despite not teaching Surf, our weaker Water Pulse handles his team with ease, OHKOing everything except Arcanine, who doesn't stand much of a chance either. I defeat all of the trainers in the 8th gym as well for the same reason, and yeah, Giovanni. Stab Water Pulses wash away his Rhyhorns and Dugtrio, while Stab Psychic melts both of his Nidos. Patrick has some extremely good coverage for him. Rival 6 is our last challenge before the Pokemon League. With super effective Thunderbolt on our side, Pidgeot is an easy OHKO. His Ace Venusaur comes out and our Psychic doesn't quite get the one-shot, also knocking him into Overgrow range, increasing his Graph's moves by 1.5 times. It's nice to know that despite that we survive a Razor Leaf, taking him out on the next turn. Rhyhorn is an easy OHKO with Water Pulse, and I take a turn against Gyarados to recover, just in case, as he kindly sets up some rain for us. We then OHKO with Thunderbolt, and Growlithe stands no chance against Water Pulse. And with the rain still boosting our Water Pulses, we can take down Alakazam as well. Welcome to the Round 1 Elite Four. Lorelei kicks us off, and she's the reason that I elected to get Thunderbolt. She's the Ice-type trainer, but because her team was a Gen 1 team, she's unofficially also a Water-type trainer, giving our Thunderbolt super effective damage against 80% of her team. We're carving past all of them fairly well until we get halted by the wall that is Slowbro. She likes setting up amnesias, making our Thunderbolts do less and less damage, while mixing in Yawn, putting us to sleep. We do eventually fall. In our next attempt, we get lucky against Slowbro with a crit Thunderbolt, taking it out in a single turn. Jinx acts up a little bit, putting us to sleep a few times, but because of Patrick's water typing, we resist Ice Punch, and her Double Slap would be doing laughable damage. We even get frozen and manage to thaw before taking her down. I don't have much to say against Bruno. 4-time super effective Water Pulse takes down both of his Onyxes easily, and Stab super effective Psychic handles the rest. We don't OHKO his Ace Machamp, but even after taking a scary face reducing our speed by 2 stages, we still outspeed and take him out. Agatha is no different. This is the power of Stab Psychic and FireRed. Skillful Psychic selection systematically sends spiraling screams through the minds of Agatha's whole team. Psychedelic, man. It's against Lance that the error of my ways is finally revealed. Instead of purchasing Thunderbolt first, I feel like Ice Beam would have been the smarter call, as I could have also grabbed TM25 Thunder for free from the power plant. His Dragonairs are not one-shots, giving them a lot of opportunity to mess us up with Paralysis and Outrage. I wipe here. I wipe a lot here. No amount of berries or recovery seems to be enough to outmaneuver his dragons. I'm dead set on not leaving the league here, so I elect instead to use rare candies as it's our damage that's holding us back. I incrementally use them, going over damage rounding thresholds. I'm making it further with more success each time. Finally, at level 65, we're up to 15 total resets, and we find the threshold that we were looking for. Gyarados is always an OHKO with Thunderbolt, but now we have enough damage to also OHKO the Dragonairs. Dragonite then falls after hitting a big Hyper Beam, and we crit him on the recharge turn. Aerodactyl is out, and we don't quite get the OHKO against it, but instead knock him into a healing loop that will eventually bring us the victory. The round 1 champion is next, and after dealing with all of that against Lance, we're slightly over-leveled for him. Not by much, as we're only 3 levels above his ace Venusaur. Even so, we OHKO every Pokemon leading up to Alakazam. I had tried solving Lance with a Resto Chesto strat, but that didn't work, so I use it here instead against Alakazam instead of still having Recover. It takes a minute, but we do take him down. Rhydon is an easy cleanup with Water Pulse. Well, that was an eventful finish. This is why I love playing the first playthroughs completely blind, as it gives me a great understanding of where the sticking points will be. This league has definitely granted me plenty of notes to work off of for the next run. Patrick clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 10 seconds at level 66 with 15 resets. This took 4 hours and 54 minutes of game time. The only extra chores that I run outside of the Sevi Island plotline are grabbing the leftovers from Snorlax on Route 12, also snagging the rare candy in the area, and returning to Celadon to grab TM13 Ice Beam from the game corner before returning to the league, as we now have the cash for it. Welcome to the Round 2 League. The Round 2 League has a couple of team changes, reworked movesets, and the average team level has been increased by 12 levels. Relying on Patrick's raw power, we can brute force our way through her Dugong, Lapras, and Cloyster. Piloswine is next, so we switch to Psychic, taking him well below half health. We tank his Earthquake because of the recovery afforded to us by leftovers, and then take him out on the next turn. Jinx is last, and Rest in combination with leftovers grants us more than enough recovery to outlast and take her down. Next is Bruno, and he is much more threatening in round 2 than his round 1 counterpart. The thing is, Patrick is kind of a beast. What a ridiculous statement. We no longer have a super effective answer against his upgraded Steelixes, but they seem intent on using Earthquakes instead of Rock Tombs, leaving our speed intact. Psychic then OHKOs Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and doesn't quite one-shot Machamp, but because of the recovery of leftovers, we have more than enough health to tank his Earthquake and finish him off. What can I say about Agatha that hasn't already been said in round 1? Psychic owns her. I switched to Ice Beam against Crobat, missing the OHKO, but could have OHKO'd easily with Psychic. The only holdup now is Misdreavus, who is a mono ghost type, so we don't hit for super effective damage. We only hit for super damage, taking it down in 2 shots. Coming into Dragon Doctoral Lance, we have a huge advantage over the Dragon Master Lance battle last round. Ice Beam. His lead Gyarados gets nuked by 4 times super effective Thunderbolt, then his following Ace and Lesser Dragonite also get taken out with 4 times super effective Ice Beam. I then get a crit with Psychic against Kingdra for another OHKO, and finally against Aerodactyl I'm feeling pretty confident. We can't quite OHKO, but he can't do nearly as much damage as we can do to him. Down goes Lance. We have a slight problem against the round 2 champion. Let me show you. His lead is Heracross. Heracross has Swarm, increasing bug-type moves by 1.5 times when below 1/3 health. And he boasts a monstrous 125 base attack with Stab Megahorn that has a base power of 120, which we're also weak to. Ouch. I wipe a few more times here, using the last of my rare candies, bringing Starmie to level 75, and rework my moveset slightly. We don't have enough bulk to make Rest worth it in this battle, so I finally teach Surf. You're welcome. Relying on Patrick's raw power hasn't led us astray so far, so let's try again. We get a little lucky here, avoiding Megahorn as it only has 85% accuracy, allowing us to take out Heracross. We then barely miss the OHKO against Venusaur as well, but his best move against us is Solar Beam, which takes a turn to charge, so he uses Sludge Bomb instead, allowing us to take him out. Alakazam is next, and 2 Surfs bring him down. Tyranitar is a nasty part of this battle, with his Stab super effective Crunch and high special defense. Crunch hits for massive damage, but Patrick takes it, allowing us to knock him out next turn. Gyarados gets blasted away by 4 times super effective Thunderbolt, bringing us to Arcanine. I'm worried here because he does have extreme speed, which Patrick survives at 18 health, around 9% of our max, taking him down with Stab's super effective Surf. Alright, that was a super fun run. I'm so excited to route the second playthrough and see how much time I can shave off. I have a great idea of how I want my moveset to shape up over the next playthrough. Patrick clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 2 seconds at level 75 with 18 resets. This took 6 hours and 15 minutes of game time. Alrighty then, a few quick points to discuss as we lead to Brock. I'm running with the same quirky nature. Our speed was so fantastic last run and I kept the neutral nature, but I will not be buying any carbos later in the run, focusing strictly on calcium and then saving money. I didn't discuss our ability last run either because for a solo Pokemon it's totally useless. Natural Cure heals status effects upon switching out, which we don't do. The alternative was Illuminate, which doubles the chance for wild encounters. So, no thank you. I also didn't mention it last run, but because we're not using hidden power at all, I have my IVs or individual values set to perfect 31s across the board. Our early game remains much the same, but this time I'm clearing out all of the bug catchers in Viridian Forest. It adds reliability along Route 3 and into Mount Moon, and I still want that Oranberry in front of youngster Calvin and his super menacing Spearow. Once we're in Pewter City, I defeat Camper Liam with haste, and Brock follows just as easily. We are losing a little time over last run because of the additional grinding, but it's an investment in the future. I clear a few additional trainers through Mount Moon, including dipping down the second ladder in the first area to defeat the rocket down here and collect the hidden ether. This ether allows us to do the additional grinding without needing to use an excessive amount of rapid spin or going back to the Poké Center. I, of course, grab the Helix fossil on the way out. I have faith in the Dome fans out there bringing it back for next video. I defeat only Swimmer Luis in Misty's gym because that Goldeen is scary. It levels us up perfectly to 19, allowing us to learn Camouflage and use a single rare candy to bring us to level 20 for the Rival 2 battle. I discovered an interesting AI quirk here. If I use Camouflage before defeating Pidgeotto, the Rival changes the order in which he sends out his Pokemon. We won't see Bulbasaur second, instead going for Rattata and then Abra. I was actually predicting the switch here as he usually switched in Bulbasaur for my final water gun against Pidgeotto. We end up sleeping a bit too long and reset. I lose twice more because of that gosh darn sand attack. Ugh, I hate it! But there isn't really anything else to do here except train or wait for the odds to be in our favor. I'm not grinding wild battles because its benefits are inversely proportional to our time. Gotta go fast. This time I don't get messed up by sand attack or sleep too much and we make it through. Phew! I follow the same route as last time, grabbing Secret Power in preparation for Misty. She doesn't go as buttery smooth as last run, but as long as I'm careful with my ranges, avoiding super potions, and she doesn't use too many recovers, we're fine here. We lost about 40 seconds in the Brock split, but after Misty, we're almost 10 minutes ahead of last run. I defeat Rival 3 on the SS Anne, and just have to show this Lieutenant Surge fight again. Defeating him with this amount of ease with a first stage water Pokemon because of some cool Gen 3 mechanics is so satisfying. We not only defeated him, we rocked him and shocked him, baby! Despite our success in the early game, it's important to not become complacent. I am weary of a few battles outside of the gyms as we progress. I am saving before the battles that I believe pose the most threat, such as Picnicker Martha here. Why did you say that name? Sorry, force of habit. Her Bulbasaur messes us up with Razor Leaf, giving us our 4th reset. Coming next into the mid-game in Celadon City is where I began making some real routing changes. I grabbed TM27 Return from the gatehouse south of Lavender Town, giving us a more powerful physical option with more PP, grabbed my Waterstone from the department store to evolve, and collect Fly from the little hermit girl. Usually here I fly back to Celadon and enter the Rocket Hideout, but instead when I fly back I go east, unlocking Saffron City, grabbing TM29 Psychic, and the Max Repels earlier. Now back in Celadon, I use my Waterstone and conquer the Rocket Hideout. I grab the coin case for later and then go directly to Erica's gym. I clear the trainers on the right side for the special attack EVs and face her down at a much lower level this time. Stab Psychic doesn't mind at all because we roll through her team. I used Return on Tangela simply out of curiosity, but finish it off with Psychic as well. I then defeat Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower, clearing all of the channelers, and do my item collection in Silphco. It's time for another routing change. We got quite lucky against Rival 5 last time with the crit against Venusaur. I need level 43 and some more vitamins to guarantee the one-shot, so after collecting all of the high-value items, I leave to get those two things. This takes us to Fuchsia City earlier, where I clear the Safari Zone and detour east to Route 15 to grab TM18 Rain Dance. This time I defeat all of the trainers in Koga's gym. There are a few Kadabras spread around for the special attack EVs, and the Drowsy line gives special defense, while Sandslash gives defense, which are both useful to a point. I defeat Koga, leveling us perfectly to 43. Time to go back to Sylph and face down Rival 5. I get a crit Psychic turn 1 against Pidgeot, which did matter, taking it out in one shot. Venusaur is out, and because of the lessons learned from the failures of preparations A through G, we get the Oko this time. The rest of the team is of no consequence, as at our slightly higher level we avoid a lot of damage that we took last run in this battle. I defeat Giovanni, then go into Saffron Gym. I once again clear all of the trainers in here. Doing this after having maxed out our vitamins is quite beneficial, as the vitamin cap is 100 EV points in a particular stat, falling well short of the 252 optimal maximum. We now add a bunch of special attack EVs from Kadabras, the Ghastly line, and even Venomoth. I defeat Sabrina, and our next target is Cinnabar Island. Now that we can surf though, I take a quick detour flying back to Route 10 and surfing along the water to the power plant. Here I'll be grabbing TM25 Thunder, which in combination with TM18 Rain Dance gives us an incredibly powerful electric move that will bypass accuracy checks while it's raining. I verified with Meowth this time to make sure that his FLHA and 1 calls were completed before commencing our ground disturbance at the power plant. In Blaine's gym, I clear out all of the trainers once again, mostly for the experience and money. Surprisingly enough, despite having a gym full of special attacking Pokemon, not a single one of them grants special attack EVs, mostly speed and attack from the Growliths. Our slow growth rate really holds back Starmie, but we're powerful enough to not care too much with some extra grinding. I then take our hard-earned Dosh and visit the game corner to buy TM13 Ice Beam before targeting Viridian Gym. I will be clearing all of the trainers there too, entirely for the experience this time, as after defeating the League and Sevi Island plotline, we'll have more than enough money to get TM24 before round 2. I defeat Giovanni, bringing us to Rival 6. I know I can survive a Razor Leaf from Venusaur, so I'm not worried about the Oko, but he goes for Growth instead, guaranteeing the knockout and the win. I haven't taught any of my shiny new moves yet, and I'll want to defeat one more trainer in Victory Road to level us up to 55 before swapping my moveset. Before initiating the Lorelei battle, I taught Rain Dance and Thunder over Water Pulse and Return, keeping Recover just in case. I also used 5 rare candies, bringing us to level 60 over 2 more damage rounding thresholds. I set up the Rain, and at this level can Oko Dugong. I have a Person Berry equipped so that when Lapras comes out and uses Confuse Ray, it cures automatically, allowing us to strike her down with 2 Thunders. I set the Rain back up against Slowbro and desperately try to knock it out while she sets up Amnesia and eventually Yawn. On the last turn before we fall asleep, we take her out. Jinx is a big old thorn in our side, but we're doing okay, until suddenly she freezes us, and after 4 more turns of Starmie doing its best impersonation of a popsicle, we fall. In the next attempt, we get a crit against her Lapras, which is so nice. This keeps the rain up just long enough that we don't have to use turn 1 against Slowbro to set it back up. Because we can Thunder her bountifully bulky buttocks right away, we Oko Slowbro. Jinx is still a big troll, but this time, to avoid putting her into healing range, I switch to Psychic, instead getting the crit and taking her down. I sure hope you enjoyed the Rain Dance Thunder strats, because they're over. I'm now teaching over both of them with Surf and Ice Beam before engaging Bruno. We're at a higher level than last time, so we Oko every single member of his team. Na 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 na, na 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 na. Hey, 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 goodbye Bruno. I started scripting this Agatha battle, but then I sneezed and it was over. Psychic rolls through her team with ease. Dragon Master Lance is next, and let's see how much easier this battle is with Surf and Ice Beam on our side. Gyarados falls to 2 Psychics, but spoiler alert, that 40 damage he did to us with Dragon Rage is about as difficult as the fight gets. Ice Beam rocks his Dragonairs and Ace Dragonite, bringing us to Aerodactyl, who we outspeed and Oko with Surf. Laughable compared to last time. Cool beans! Time for the round 1 champ. I used 3 rare candies, taking Starmie to level 65 over 2 more damage rounding thresholds. This guarantees an Oko against Pidgeot with Ice Beam, Arcanine with Surf, Venusaur with Psychic, and gives a favorable range to 2-shot the Gyarados. I missed the ranges here, needing to add in a 3rd shot, but we're still over half health. Alakazam gets wrecked by Surf over a few turns, taking us to 68 health, almost nice, and Rhydon is an easy cleanup with 4 times super effective Stab Surf. Good golly, I love when my routing works out like that. We are in such good shape finishing the round 1 league, but it's round 2 where everything gets put on the line. Starmie clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 14 seconds at level 65 with 6 resets. This took 4 hours and 31 minutes of game time. Welcome back to the Round 2 League. Once again, my only chores outside of the Sevi Islands were grabbing leftovers and stopping at the game corner, this time to buy Thunderbolt. I did clear a couple of extra trainers in the islands too, which will end up being my flub of the day. We'll get there though. Both Dugong and Lapras fall to 2 Thunderbolts, with Lapras thankfully missing Thunder. We could have taken it no problem, barring a paralysis or a crit. We then Oko Cloyster with Thunderbolt, Piloswine with Surf, and against Jinx we have the recovery with leftovers and damage output with Surf to take her out in 2 shots. With the addition of Surf to our moveset, Bruno also becomes much easier than last playthrough. We can now Oko both Steelix with our stab super effective water move. Psychic then Oko's Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, missing the Oko against Machamp but putting him into a healing loop. You're wasting time and money, buddy, just accept your fate. We get a special defense drop and it's over on the next turn. Did you hear about that time that the police questioned an egg? They couldn't get a straight answer out of him. He kept scrambling his words. I stick with Psychic the whole time through Agatha, Okoing everything except Mischievous, whose Thunderbolt hits for under half. No problemo. Against Dragon Doctoral Lance, I misclick turn 1 against Gyarados. I go for Ice Beam, but my mistake goes unpunished as we also freeze him. I guess the AI liked my yoke. I'm done now. Thunderbolt cleans him up, then Ice Beam rocks both of his Dragonites with 4 times super effective damage. We get unfavorable ranges against Kingdra, allowing him to set up a bunch of Dragon Dances. Then he goes for Surf. I can't imagine the full reasoning behind that, but after a long career working with dragons, I'm sure Lance knows what he's doing. We outspeed an Oko Aerodactyl with Surf for the win. Here lies my flub of the run. We didn't quite level to 73 after Lance, so I should have defeated an extra trainer or 2 before entering the Round 2 League. My routing had planned to be at level 78 for the champion, but after using all of my rare candies, we fall a little short at level 77. Dommage. Level 78 would have guaranteed the Oko against Heracross, but at 77 we do get a favorable range anyway, taking out one of his biggest threats. 78 also would have given us the Oko against Venusaur, which we miss by a sliver. He's busy soaking up the sunlight though, so we're unthreatened and take him out. That yummy stab Surf takes out Alakazam in 2, bringing us to Tyranitar. T-Tar hits a crunch for over half, while his Sandstorm negates all healing from our leftovers. Surf is powerful enough to knock him into a healing loop, but because of the Sandstorm negating our healing, this is simply wasting time. We take him down. Gyarados gets fried by Thunderbolt, bringing us to Arcanine in the back. Based on the damage of his extreme speed, we would have even survived a crit, Okoing him with Surf. That felt good. My flub was fortunately minor enough that it didn't really impact the champion battle. Guaranteeing the one-shot against Heracross removed a lot of the threat from that fight, as we couldn't have survived taking damage from it and Tyranitar. That's to say if we survived Mega Horn at all. Starmie clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 19 seconds at level 77 with 6 resets. This took 5 hours and 47 minutes of game time. Let's compare how much time we saved between the 2 playthroughs. We lost a little bit of time against Brock because of our additional grinding, but that paid dividends in the Misty Split, saving nearly 10 minutes and over 12.5 by Lieutenant Surge. We see some major fluctuations in the mid-game because of routing changes, but things level out around Badge 6 where we lost a little time running to the power plant for Thunder before Blaine. This all culminates with nearly a 19-minute gain over last run at the end of the Round 1 League, and 21 minutes and 43 seconds at the end of Round 2, 2 levels higher for the safety with 12 less resets, none of which were in Round 2. We also saved just under 30 minutes of game time. On the tier list, this places Starmie snug as a bug in a rug between 2 bugs. In the A tier, between Scyther and Pinsir feels like a solid placement for Starmie, as we were much less frail than Scyther but had better typing and coverage in the late game while matching Pinsir's slow growth rate. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. I want to give a quick shout out to Tyler in the comments for requesting Starmie. It took almost 2 months, but I got it done. I am recording all of your requests on a list and working my way through them, 1 video at a time. Speaking of things taking a lot of time, I've been working on a super fun project off and on for about a month now. By the time this video premieres, I will have posted a poll for you to cast your votes about who you feel will be victorious in our next Versus video. A pseudo-legendary showdown between Dragonite, Tyranitar, and Metagross. I will do a follow-up video for Salamence, but this project has already been a titanic effort, and having 2 similar dragon flying types seemed a little stale for a single video. If you feel like I've earned it, leave a like and comment about the run, what you'd like to see in the future, or just to say hi. I'm looking at you, Ariana. As always on this channel, sub-strats best strats. So if you'd like to keep up with my content in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. It really helps to grow my channel and continue bringing my egg-centric lunacy to the Poke fans of the world. Until next time, take care everyone.